We all know the routine. One day we're born, and one day we die. The events between these 2 points are known and understood, yet what occurred before and what will happen after remains a mystery to us. Consequently, it's challenging to pinpoint the true meaning or significance of our existence. If we have no knowledge of where we came from, how can we truly understand why we are here? Similarly, without knowing where we are headed or what we will become, how can we assess whether our current actions hold any real value? This uncertainty about both our collective pasts and futures has led to the enduring question, what is the meaning of life? A question that has troubled humanity ever since we became conscious beings. While we haven't been able to objectively answer this as a species, many have found solace in various ideologies, which help to alleviate the anxiety this question brings. For many, different religions provide comfort by explaining that a deity created the universe, placed us within it, and will judge our actions on earth to determine how we spend eternity. Others find meaning in the love shared with friends, family, and loved ones. Some believe that the very existence of life is what gives it value. But for nihilists, life is devoid of meaning. All actions, suffering, and emotions, whether good or bad, are entirely senseless and meaningless. This is nihilism, the belief in nothing. At some stage in our lives, many of us encounter nihilistic thoughts. We're struck by a powerful sense of purposelessness, feeling that our lives have no meaning or intrinsic value. These thoughts often arise when we begin to question old beliefs, but before we've adopted new ones to hold on to. It's during this transitional phase, when we outgrow our parents' beliefs, learn new things, gain new experiences, and form our own worldviews, that these thoughts typically surface. And usually, it all begins with a simple question: why? This small word, why, has the power to make everything that once seemed solid in our lives feel unstable, like quicksand dragging us into the realization that maybe, just maybe, our whole life isn't what we thought it was. Take a moment to reflect on your core values and ask yourself, why? Why do you believe what you believe? Where did these beliefs originate? Who did they come from? Keep asking, and eventually, you'll reach a point where there are no more answers, where you arrive at nothing. Despite the advancements in religion and science, the question why remains one we cannot answer definitively. For the nihilist, this realization leads to the conclusion that there is no why, there is no answer, only nothingness. As Alan Watts once wrote, life is nothing more than a trip from the maternity ward to the crematorium. The term nihilism itself is derived from the Latin word nihil, meaning nothing, and the suffix ism, indicating an ideology. Nihilism, therefore, is the ideology of nothingness, yet this definition doesn't fully capture its essence. People often confuse nihilism with pessimism, but they are distinct. Pessimists believe in the worst possible outcomes, focusing on the negatives in life because they think that, ultimately, evil will always triumph over good. This is where pessimists and nihilists diverge. Pessimists acknowledge the existence of good in the world, but doubt humanity's ability to achieve it fully. Nihilists, on the other hand, believe in nothing. They see no good or evil in the world, considering these concepts as mere human inventions. Consider the metaphor of the glass cup. Optimists view the glass as half full, pessimists see it as half empty, while nihilists would say to throw the entire cup away because whether it's full or empty is irrelevant. After all, we're all going to die anyway. Nihilism is also frequently compared to other philosophies like cynicism and apathy, though they are fundamentally different. Cynics believe that people are always motivated by self-interest, doubting that anyone can have truly altruistic motives. However, the belief that humans are not good suggests that, in the cynic's mind, good exists somewhere, just not in humans. In contrast, nihilists reject the existence of good or evil altogether, viewing these as mere labels we apply to things. Apathetic individuals may believe that life has meaning, but they simply don't care about it. Nihilism, however, is the belief that there is no grand design or purpose, nothing to believe in, and therefore, no meaning at all. This brings us to the paradox of nihilism. If you believe in nothing, then that nothing becomes something you believe in. But since you now believe in something, nihilism ceases to exist, because nihilism is, by definition, the belief in nothing. Nihilism differs from other philosophical ideas because it began as a literary concept before it ever became philosophical. As a result, it isn't as clearly defined as many other philosophies. Various thinkers have explained it in different ways, eventually leading to the categorization of different types of nihilism. For example, political nihilism advocates for the destruction of all political, social, and religious order to allow humanity to progress. Ethical nihilism rejects the idea of absolute moral or ethical values, suggesting that concepts of good and bad are merely societal constructs and should not be followed if we are to attain absolute individual freedom. Then there's existential nihilism, the belief that life itself has no value or meaning, which is the most commonly discussed form of nihilism. For nihilists, institutions like the state, religious bodies, and even communal morality represent constraints on individual freedom. If we can't do whatever we want, are we truly free? Or have we bound ourselves with invisible mental chains for reasons we can't explain? One night, while scrolling through Reddit, I stumbled upon a question. If you had to choose between saving your pet or a stranger, who would you save? An overwhelming number of people chose their pet, unsurprisingly. When one commenter was challenged, they simply asked, "Why do you think a human life is worth more than that of an animal?" No one had a definitive answer. People tried to avoid the question, but the fundamental why remained unanswered, illustrating the nihilist's point. If we can't explain why we follow certain rules, why do we choose to abide by them? Perhaps it's because acknowledging the existential horror and emotional anguish that come with accepting life's meaninglessness is too overwhelming. Consider the possibility that everything we do, every scientific achievement, every technological wonder, every social movement, might be utterly meaningless, a mere blip in time with no lasting impact on the grand scale of existence. The thought that all our experiences, all our struggles, might ultimately amount to nothing is a heavy burden to bear. But maybe that's the point. We're not obligated to make sense of reality's chaos. We can choose to laugh at it instead. Friedrich Nietzsche was a unique philosopher because he both supported and critiqued nihilism. He argued that our world has no inherent structure or order beyond what we create for ourselves. He famously said, "Every belief, every considering something true, is necessarily false because there is simply no true world." Nietzsche believed that nihilism would expose humanity's beliefs and truths as mere symptoms of a flawed Western mythology. His famous declaration that God is dead wasn't about a deity, but rather about the diminishing power of religious institutions as people began to forge their own paths and seek their own meanings in life. However, Nietzsche also warned that the rise of nihilism could lead civilization toward catastrophe, a disaster waiting to happen. He feared that nihilism would erode long-standing cultural traditions, beliefs, religious institutions, and even financial systems, leading to a breakdown of society and the encroachment of nothingness. Consider the implications. If nothing matters and we are just a random collection of transient atoms, how can we say that heinous acts like slavery, apartheid, or nuclear warfare are objectively wrong? How can we label Adolf Hitler as one of history's worst figures for attempting to annihilate an entire culture? At a fundamental level, most of us understand that these things are truly terrible, but the danger lies in our inability to explain why we feel this way logically. This inability to justify our beliefs could prevent us from convincing others to share our values, which is precisely what Nietzsche feared. Despite seeing these dangers, Nietzsche continued to advocate for nihilism, believing that if we could survive the societal breakdown it might cause, we could create a new moral framework for humanity, one free from the prejudices of the past. To Nietzsche, tearing down the old shouldn't leave us homeless. Rather, it should give us the opportunity to build a bigger, better home. Take a moment to look around you, especially on social media, and you'll notice signs that we might be on the brink of another outbreak of nihilism. Religion no longer dictates what is morally acceptable. People are dismantling long-held beliefs and cultural practices, and instead, they are carving out new paths for themselves. Anything, no matter how despicable it may seem, now has a dedicated fan base defending its right to exist. And in reality, why not? That's the question no one can answer. As William Shakespeare once wrote, "Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing." If you found this exploration of nihilism thought-provoking, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into the philosophies that shape our understanding of life.